Alright guys, same process with this bearing. We got to get that shim out from under there. This is the stock pinion. What I'm gonna do is we're gonna pull this off where we can get to our shim and measure it. And when we go to the parts store, we're gonna buy a cheapy old pinion bearing, lower pinion bearing for the rear, lower pinion bearing for the front, and we're gonna take and grind out the center of it just a bit to where it'll just slip on here, on and off, on and off, on and off. That way when we're doing our shimming for the pinion depth, we don't destroy our new bearing, our good bearing. We can set it all up with the setup bearings, what we'll call it. You can buy them like that, but I've always just ground out the center of a cheap one. But anyway, we're gonna get us a setup bearing. That way tomorrow when we start working on this rear end, we'll be able to shim it without having to ruin our bearing and press it off every time. So it's a good little trick. I got them for Dana 60s and stuff like that, but I don't have them for this. So we're gonna make a setup bearing, lower pinion bearing for the front and the rear. That way we got them to work with. Alright, I'm gonna get this thing off of here and I'll video some more of it in a minute. I'll show you all this. That hole is too big for your tool to pull it, so always get you something. If not, you'll only be able to use your Harbor Freight tool 2 times instead of maybe 3. She was on there. 20-ton press to get it off. Harbor Freight wouldn't have got that one. But we got it off. We got what we needed. I could have just cut it off like I told you on the other ones, but that's what we need. That's our bounty. We need to measure that. And I used the same one under it. Alright, I'm gonna get that bearing and I'll show y'all how to make it where it'll just drop on there and you ain't got to press it on and off to change your shims every time. Alright, be back. Alright, what happened with this, guys, is when you heat that race up, you got to be quick with it. If it don't want to come, it's going to end up heating the whole thing up, which this whole thing's hot, and it's going to lock it on there even more. So you put your heat on it, you try to pull it, it don't move. Try it a little bit more. If it don't move, then you're gonna have to cut it off. This would be one of the stubborn ones I was talking about. I mean, if y'all got a press, you can press it off, but I was trying to show y'all how to do it with stuff you can get from, you know, local hardware, or, you know, Harbor Freight, something cheap. But if you have to cut it off, cut it off. As long as you can get that shim right there and measure it, you're good to go. Alright, I want to show y'all that. I'm gonna go get that bearing. Alright guys, we got our setup bearings. We're going to take some out of the center where it'll just drop down over that pinion to the shim. That way when we set it up, if this ain't right, we'll just be able to pull it back off easily and put another shim in there or take one out or whatever. We'll have an easy way to do that. I'm making some setup bearings. I got one for the rear. For the front. 8.25, if you've never built a rear end, would be a good one to start on. I'm thinking, this is my prediction on this rear end. This is the shim that come out of it. It's 29 thousandths thick. I checked the width of the gear. It's the same exact as this, as the stock one. The ring gear is the same. So my prediction is I'm going to still grind this bearing out where I can show y'all. So we're going to put that bearing on there and we're going to put it all together and we're going to set it up and it's going to be damn close, if not perfect. We'll see. Because the 825, the carrier is adjustable by threaded inserts that's inside the cap. So you don't have as much shimming and stuff to do on the 825 as you do the 30. Now when we get to the Dana 30, that's going to be different. If the carrier don't move in it, you're going to have to shim the pinion to get it where you need it. But we're going to start out the same way. We're going to put the same exact shims under every bearing, every race, all the way through the diff, and then we're going to check it. We're going to set our see what our backlash is on the front. See, on the 8.25, you can set the backlash with the carrier by moving it. On a Dana 30, you got to move the pinion in and out to get your backlash. So you literally have to take it back out, re-shim it, put it back in to get your pinion depth. And most rear ends are like that. The only rear end that you don't have to take out and re-shim the pinion all the time to get your backlash right is a 9-inch Ford 8.25 Chrysler. And I think some of the other bigger Chrysler rear ends are like that too. But I know a 9-inch and 8.25 is like that. And every forklift in the world, the carrier is adjustable. Anyway, I'm going to grind this out, get it where it's fitting on there, where it'll just drop down on there, and that'll be our setup bearing. And when we get her all right, we'll press our bearings on there and put it together, and we'll be done with it. But I'll see y'all in the morning, or sometime tomorrow night, probably before I get it uploaded. But I'm going to get all this cleaned up and get the rear end up here, and I'm going to have these bearings ready. I just wanted to show y'all this, that you can go buy you some cheap bearings and make you some setup bearings and save them. Alright, y'all take it easy, guys. Talk to you later.